For the longest time, the AI race felt like it was all about one thing: who could build the biggest, baddest model? But that game is changing. It's shifting into this whole new battle of strategy, where it's not just about raw power anymore, but about who's making the smartest moves. And that's really the big question we're diving into here. The top players are making these huge moves that totally challenge that old bigger is better playbook. It really makes you wonder, is the future of AI going to be defined by something else entirely? And this brings us to two totally competing visions. On one side, you've got Google, who just dropped a bombshell breakthrough that's all about making AI radically more efficient. And on the other side, OpenAI is making a hard pivot away from its viral tools to build one single unified product. Two giants heading in two very different directions. Okay, so let's kick things off with Google. They are going after a problem that's been sort of hiding in plain sight, a massive bottleneck that makes running these powerful AI models super slow and crazy expensive. So at the very heart of this issue is something called the KV cache. The easiest way to think about it is like an AI's short-term memory. Every single time you talk to an AI, this cache has to store the context of your conversation. So the longer you talk, the bigger that memory gets, and the more it costs in both speed and money. It's this huge hidden drag on the whole system. And this is Google's answer. They've rolled out a new tech called TurboQuant, and the claim is it can slash that memory usage by a factor of 6. So instead of needing 6 big, expensive chunks of memory, an AI would suddenly only need 1. But wait, it gets even better. On top of that huge memory saving, they're also seeing up to an 8-fold speed up when the AI is actually spitting out a response. I mean, think about that. You're getting faster answers with lower costs, and you need less hardware to do it. Yeah, this is not just some minor tweak. The potential here is so massive that people are actually comparing it to Pied Piper, the game-changing fictional compression algorithm from the show Silicon Valley. It's being talked about as that big of a deal. And this is the obvious question, right? Usually when you compress something, like a photo or a video, you lose a bunch of quality. So how on earth did Google manage to shrink this data down so much without, completely scrambling the AI's brain? Well, the process is actually pretty genius. First, they kind of rotate the data to spread all the information out evenly, which makes it way easier to compress. Then they chop it up into tiny little pieces and shrink each one perfectly. And then there's this final, super important step where they correct for any errors to make sure the AI's accuracy stays solid. The real secret sauce here is that this whole process is data oblivious, meaning it works instantly on any data without needing a ton of pre-training. And the results? They're just stunning. We're talking about getting incredibly close to the absolute theoretical limits of compression. They tested it on popular models like Llama 3 and got 4 times the compression with full accuracy. It even passed that super tough needle in a haystack test, finding a tiny piece of info in a huge document. It even makes complex data searches insanely fast, taking something that took minutes and doing it in milliseconds. So what's the big picture here for Google's strategy? They're not just building some new feature. They're fundamentally re-engineering the engine that powers all of AI. By making the core infrastructure way more efficient, they can make powerful AI cheaper, faster, and just more accessible for developers all over the world. They're betting on the foundation. Okay, so while Google is busy digging deep into the infrastructure, OpenAI is making a totally different kind of play. It's a surprising pivot in their product strategy that honestly caught pretty much everyone off guard. That's right, just a few months after it completely blew everyone's minds with its crazy realistic video generation, OpenAI has confirmed it. They're pulling the plug on the standalone Sora app. A tool that so many people thought was the future of content creation is just not happening. So why? Why would they do this? Well, it really boils down to a few big things. First, generating that video is just insanely expensive. Second, a huge planned partnership with Disney fell through. And there were all these nagging intellectual property concerns coming from Hollywood. But really, the most important thing is that this move signals a major shift in OpenAI's entire strategy as a company. Which, of course, begs the question, if they're walking away from a blockbuster tool like Sora, what in the world are they walking towards? Their new obsession is creating a super app. The whole idea is to build one single integrated experience right on your desktop. So instead of having a separate app for chat and another for coding and another for browsing, everything would just live together in one seamless AI-powered ecosystem. And a standalone product like Sora, well, it just didn't fit into that unified vision. And to power this whole new super app, they've got a brand new flagship model in the works. The internal code name is Spud. And this isn't some far-off dream. CEO Sam Altman has hinted it could be released within weeks, which means this big shift is coming, and it's coming fast. And you gotta hear the level of ambition here. Altman didn't just call it an upgrade. No, he's framed it as a model so powerful it could, and I quote, accelerate the economy. I mean, that is an incredibly bold claim that just sets expectations through the roof for what this new AI can do. So when you boil it all down, OpenAI is placing its bet on the user experience. They believe the way to win is to build a polished, closed, all-in-one application that becomes completely essential to how you work every single day. They're betting on the ecosystem. All right, let's bring these two stories together. What we have here are two completely different philosophies on how you win the future of AI. It's that classic showdown. Do you improve the engine or do you perfect the car? So let's just put it all on the table, side by side. Google is all in on foundational efficiency with its TurboQuant tech. Their goal is infrastructural, make AI cheaper and faster for everyone. OpenAI? They're focused on building an integrated product powered by their new Spud model with the goal of creating a closed, user-facing super app. And that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? Will the future be won by the company that builds the most efficient, open foundation for everyone else to build on top of? Or will it be the one that creates the most addictive, integrated application that captures users directly? Foundation versus application. That, right there, is the new battleground for the future